Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Power Pop Shakers, where I will be looking at new Power Pop releases and the odd reissue as well. There's a thriving international Power Pop underground scene which I'm aiming to promote. I've also set up a playlist called Power Pop Shakers where you can go and listen to the music that I mentioned today, and you can find that if you go to my channel and just click on playlists, you'll see it there. There's also details of the records I'm mentioning today in the description to this video. So let's not waste any more time and let's get on with it. And first up, it's the Rubinoos, and it's the Cbs Tapes, and it's out on CD and LP on the Yep Rock label. Came out in June. These are live studio demos from 1976 which were recorded in CBS studios. So this is obviously prior to them signing to Berkeley Records in 1977. One of the tracks which I particularly like is I Want to So Bad, and I've added that to the playlist. And it's a very punky number, totally different to the music they started making with Berkeley, but it's still very good. Some of the other tracks recorded in the studio, they're mainly cover versions, but they show themselves to have very good taste in music. They cover Government Center by Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, Memphis Soul Stew, King Curtis, Sissy Strut, The Meters, Sugar Sugar by the Archies, one of my favourite bands. Love the Archies. And there's also two or three originals on there as well. It's worth checking out. Next up, we've got Second Grade, and as featured in the latest issue of Shindig magazine, I'll just show you. That was a photo of the main man in the band, singer-songwriter, guitarist Peter Gill, who records as Second Grade. Back in 2018, he released an album called Wish You Were Here Tour as a limited edition cassette. He's now revisited that record and re-recorded it with a band helping him. The band really reminds me of Teenage Fan Club. Before I knew anything about his background, he's actually from, certainly from America, maybe from the Philadelphia area of America. And I thought he sounded Scottish. I thought with the main influence being Teenage Fan Club. There's other influences in there, sort of quirky, sort of indie pop artists. So think a very poppy Jad Fair, maybe Sicko, the Pastels at their poppiest. So if you like sort of indie pop straying into power pop, quite fey vocals, and it's really worth checking out. Next up, the Foreign Films. They've got a new album coming out on the 27th of August this year, Starlight Serenade, but a couple of the tracks are already out there as a digital download, and you can listen to them on YouTube. The band's led by Bill Mahoros, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He plays guitars and drums, and also lead vocals. He's based in Canada. He's been performing in various bands since the late 90s and releasing records. Amongst the tracks amongst the two tracks that have already been released is All the Love You Give, and that's available on the playlist if you want to go and listen to it. Next up, we've got Pilot and the Magic EP. They were a great pop band. Not sure if they broke through outside of the UK, but back in the mid-70s they released a slew of really catchy pop singles. And David Paton, who was the singer in that band, has re-recorded 4 of their tracks, and it's available as a download EP. I certainly feel like it deserves a proper vinyl release. So maybe there's a label out there that will take the plunge and release it. The promo for this EP with extracts from the 4 tracks is available on the playlist. Next up, a UK band called the Gold Needles, and their album came out on the American label Gem a bit earlier in the year. It's the second album they've done for Gem, and it's called What's Tomorrow Ever Done For You. They're really highly competent musicians, and they come from Hull on the east coast of England. This is actually their 3rd album and the 2nd on the label Gem. They do a couple of covers on the album which really show off their musical expertise. If I Needed Someone, the Beatles of course, and Have You Ever Loved Somebody, the Hollies, which is exceptional. And as I say, the rest of the album is all originals, including the title track, which you can listen to on the Power Pop Shakers playlist. And I can highly recommend them. Next up, it's Rooftop Screamers and the album Next Level, which I've only just discovered. It came out in April this year. And Rooftop Screamers, it's the name of the studio project of Mike Collins, who's a drummer and a songwriter. He does sing the occasional track, but he tends to use guest vocalists. So on this latest album, the guest lists include Ken Stringfellow from the Posies, of course, on the track One Wish, which is on the playlist. David Paton, who I've just mentioned from Pilot, who sings Your Day Will Come. Tim Smith from Jellyfish and Umajets, who sings Buckle Up. That's just a sample of the guest vocalists. It's all very slick, radio-friendly fare, and it certainly deserves to be on a major label. With the right push from a major label, I could see this really being a successful record. Next up, an old favourite of mine, Jesse Hector, and It Ain't Easy, 1992 to 1996, and it's a limited edition LP that's been put out by Just Add Water label. And as the title suggests, these are 1990s recordings where he's backed by the Sound and the Gatecrashers, and it includes 3 previously unreleased tracks, and also there's 3 of the tracks which are new to vinyl, including the title track It Ain't Easy, which you can hear on the playlist. Jesse Hector is of course the frontman from the Hammersmith Gorillas and the Gorillas, and who were around sort of pre-punk, and they played at the punk festival in I can't remember the name of it now, that took place in 1976 in France, and it's, I suppose he's classed more as maybe garage rock, but some of the tracks definitely stray into power pop territory, and I think the track It Ain't Easy is an especially good track, and I recommend that one. Next up, it's Kurt Baker and Anytime at All, and it's coming out as a 7-inch single on Steve Van Zant's label Wicked Cool on the 27th of August 2021. It's also available as a download single now, and you can hear it as well on YouTube. And this is a cover of a song by Norwegian power poppers the Yum Yums, and it's got a great Bo Diddley guitar riff. Kurt Baker is an American musician, but he toured regularly in Spain and really fell in love with the Spanish way of life and the fact that they really appreciated power pop and sort of garage rock and roll, especially in Madrid. And he's lived in Madrid now for many years and records with local musicians. And talking of the Yum Yums, I know it's a while now, but it came out in 2020, their latest or last album, For Those About to Pop. and they've been around since the 90s, and they've really perfected their mix of pop punk, very influenced by those 90s Pacific Northwest bands like the Fastbacks and Sicko, and sort of summer fun power pop, based in Norway. And I've put the track Summertime Pop onto the playlist, and that track certainly owes a debt of appreciation to the track Summer Fun by the Barracudas, and it's a real feel-good number. And next, an Italian band called Radio Days, and they were featured in last month's Shindig, a little one-page write-up. There's the photo of the band. They're a power pop band that really looks the part, and they have the charisma, and this is their fourth album. They're based in Milan, in Italy, and it's guitar-driven power pop with that adrenaline rush energy that you used to get in the late 70s. Some sort of reminds me of bands like the Real Kids. So it's got that sort of punky energy and great tunes. A bit of maybe glam pop seeps into it as well. The track I Gotta Love is a really catchy number, and that's available on the playlist. Right, just a couple of bits of power pop related news. There's now that gigs have opened up again in the UK, there's the Pump It Up Power Pop Weekender, which is on the 25th and 26th of September at the Lexington in London. And if I was anywhere near London, I'd be wanting to go, because the acts appearing include Squire, the old mod revival band from the late 70s, and two of the bands I've mentioned today, the Yum Yums and Radio Days, who I'd never seen either of those bands. I'd love to see them live. In addition to that, the International Pop Overthrow festivals, which are organised by David Bash, they're back soon, and they are holding a festival in Arlington, Texas in September, and one in New York in November, and another in Boston in November. I've no news on whether there'll be another one at the Liverpool Cavern. I suspect not, because of problems with international bands travelling, so I suspect it might return next year. And final bit of news, the Corgis, with original frontman James Warren, they're about to play a couple of gigs, and they're also bringing out a new album called Cartoon World. I haven't got any details onto the playlist, but I may well add something at some point. So I'll be back again in a few days with the next episode of Power Pop Shakers, and hopefully we can, I can keep adding to the playlist so it becomes a good place to see what's been happening on the power pop scene. So, okay, I'll see you again soon. All the best.